Today, we're going to delve into the second learning objective for the family unit. What are the many variables, such as culture, that influence the family with a disability? The Social Ecological Model, the Olson-Circumplex Model, and the Resiliency Family Model we will examine to better understand how to serve families in developing individuals with disabilities. It's imperative to understand family systems and what impacts family functioning. Today, we will look at 3 models that better equip us to serve the student or the adult with disability holistically. We used to use models that really focused in on type of disability, severity of disability, the gender, behaviors, and other within-person variables, but a recent conceptualization of family outcomes that focus more on an ecological perspective helps us view families in terms of a support paradigm, rather than through the lens of inherent characteristics within families or the individual with a disability. One well-known model is Bronfenbrenner's Social Ecological Model that you've learned about in lifespan development. In the figure in the slide, you can think of the center circle as the child who is born with disabilities. The other nested influences impact the child and vice versa. There are natural bidirectional influences as noted by the arrows on both ends. This means that the child impacts individuals and her social environment around her, as well as the environment and those around her impact her growth and development. The family's culture and religion impact how they feel and respond to the child with a disability. Parents' beliefs, emotional status, and financial conditions impact them and their children. The newly born child impacts the family, parents, siblings, grandparents, and other extended family members. Microsystems such as schools, the church, the family, and peers impact the developing child. The mesosystem refers to communications between these various systems. And an exosystem indirectly impacts the child through mass media messages about disability, the conditions in the neighborhood such as poverty, crime rates, availability of support services, industries in the area, local politics, and neighbors. Finally, macrosystems, such as attitudes and ideologies of the larger U.S. culture, impact the developing child, especially negative messages or stereotypes. Another key point to remember about family systems models is that when something occurs in one of these systems, it does affect all the other systems and the developing individual, whether directly or indirectly. The Olson-Circumplex Model is a family systems model supported by over 1,200 studies. It characterizes family interactions with 3 central variables: flexibility, cohesion, and communication skills. When family members have good communication skills and manifest flexibility and cohesion, they're much more likely to function in healthy and helpful ways. But too much flexibility leads to chaos in the family, lack of leadership, erratic discipline, too much change. But too much rigidity also leads to authoritarian leadership. Remember this type of parenting style from the lifespan development course, where there's little communication, little discussion and affection, strict discipline, and little change occurs. Too much cohesion, or the emotional bonding between family members, can also lead to enmeshed family relationships, where there's little tolerance for private space and no healthy boundaries, rejection of non-family members, and so forth. On the other hand, too little cohesion can lead to really disengaged families where there's little closeness, a lack of loyalty, and a high degree of independence, and not really caring for one another. While flexibility and cohesion are both equally important for all families, it's even more critical for families with disabilities to have greater flexibility, as they have to shift with the changing demands of the disability and the roles within the family. Chronic health or mental health disabilities can ebb and flow and be episodic, so to respond positively and patiently requires ongoing flexibility. The resiliency model of family stress, adjustment, and adaptation helps to explain why some families adapt well to the ongoing challenges associated with raising a child with Down syndrome or other disabilities, while others struggle. According to the resiliency model, key family factors that influence a family's ability to adapt include family demands, the family's appraisal of the situation, what are the family's resources, and their problem solving and coping skills. In Capel's study of families of children with Down syndrome, families were more likely to adapt successfully if they had fewer other family stressors or demands, had a positive view of life with Down syndrome, had a shared belief that they can master ongoing challenges, adequate family resources, and good problem-solving, communication, and coping skills. A family that's already experiencing a wide variety of demands. One of the parents has a chronic illness, the family car is unreliable, and one of the other children is having problems at school and have limited financial and social support, might find it really difficult to adapt to ongoing challenges associated with raising a child with Down syndrome. While in contrast, a family experiencing a similar level of family demands, who has a positive attitude about life with Down syndrome, good problem-solving communication, and a strong system of family and community support, may adapt quite successfully. Caples found that families that have hardiness, or this sense of control over life events and adversities, and hold a view that change is beneficial and actively adjust to stressors, copes well. Families that provide affirming communication also contribute to a healthy family system. However, they also found that incendiary family communication, family strains, and a view of the condition impact led to poor coping. Incendiary communication is inflammatory in nature and tends to exacerbate a stressful situation. Negative communication, criticism, a lack of empathy, and sending double messages may be seen as negative communication skills. Defensive communication by family members produces a defensive environment, which makes it really challenging to solve problems. The presence of a child affects a family in both positive and challenging ways. In general, families that include children with disabilities experience greater stress and more intense concerns about quality of life issues. These concerns relate to financial well-being, emotional health, social well-being, family interaction, parenting skills, and challenges of other co-occurring disabilities, particularly behavior problems. Researchers have found that families found it most challenging to access services, to find high-quality childcare, to qualify for and receive adequate insurance coverage, and to have shared decision-making. It's challenging to communicate and share decision-making if one parent is withdrawing and checking out. Sometimes divorce happens in situations as these. One of my friend's husbands left her and her son with autism, and he hasn't had much communication with their son. Families with children with disabilities need some respite care on a regular basis, but it's really hard to find quality PCAs that are well-trained and responsible and dependable. Another challenge is not encouraging parentification of a sibling and caring for their sibling with a disability. Parents need to allow siblings a chance to have some social life and hobbies and time with the parents as they balance helping contribute to the family system. Sometimes larger families can fare better as there are more individuals to help. I think that was the case in my family of 6 kids, and none of my siblings had more severe disabilities other than one brother having an intellectual disability. He did need some consistent oversight, as one day he decided to microwave a burrito for 40 minutes by himself in the kitchen, and it caught on fire in the microwave. My mom was downstairs working on laundry, a common occurrence, and the alarms went off. It made the front page of our small rural town's newspaper. These big, burly firemen carrying out a tiny burning burrito with huge tongs. Clearly, they didn't have enough to report on. So yes, there are many positive outcomes to having a family member with a disability. It can create conditions of growth for parents and siblings and improved levels of empathy and patience, heightened communication skills, positive family relations, and greater emotional and psychological strength. Some studies suggest that parents of children with disabilities experience higher levels of marital happiness, suggesting that for some couples, rearing a child with disabilities may strengthen marital bonds, unity, and satisfaction as they work towards this common goal. Mothers may grow in their capacity for compassion, for selflessness, and resilience. A recent study of thousands of households with children with Down syndrome in Ireland affirmed positive views of parents regarding their sons or daughters with Down syndrome. Nearly 80% believed their outlook on life was more positive because of these children and reported good relationships between and among their children with and without disabilities. Another study addressing the psychological well-being of fathers with and without children with disabilities provided some interesting findings. Fathers with children with disabilities reported higher levels of self-acceptance and better adjustment in some domains than fathers of children without disabilities. Families are unique and different in the ways they benefit and cope having a family member with a disability. These 3 models will help you consider the social ecological context of each family, family processes and the various contributors to their family functioning, and what interventions and coping strategies may help them towards thriving family systems.